Welcome back to Teen Talk. It's your host, Miss KK, here with
Your boy DJ Daddy in the building.
It's your boy Sneaky Trey. What's goody?
It's your girl Serenity here.
It's your boy Brandon right here.
Make sure to show us some love by following us on Instagram at Teen Talk Vegas 881 and subscribe to us on YouTube at Teen Talk Vegas or just Teen Talk Vegas, excuse me. We have a very special guest joining us today, Mr. Leroy Harris. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
Thank you for joining us. Would you mind giving us a little history of your athletic career?
Okay, first of all, I played college sports. I played at Idaho State. I played football and I wrestled. And I tried out for 2 professional teams. It didn't last too long. At least I tried out, okay? So I had a cup of coffee and a donut and they sent me home. And that was my playing days. And I've coached high school sports for 51 years.
Wow. So a long history. Well, thank you for joining this this show. We're going to be talking about high school and college experiences during the COVID-19, specifically about athletics. And we wanted to get your take on everything. So due to the state of the country and different cities, in the United States, how do you feel about districts closing down the athletic programs?
I think it's a thing to do because the primary concern should be safety of the athletes. If somebody catches that disease and you have all that physical contact in locker rooms and the huddles and stuff, it's just going to spread like a wildfire. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And do you know of any coaches out here who are struggling with trying to give their athletes some hope during this time, especially if it's their senior year in high school? And how they're handling it?
Well, most coaches are communicating with their athletes. They're telling them to stay in shape, to keep the hope up because everybody's striving for having the sports in the spring, hopefully, if the condition gets better. So that's what the hope is, that they will be able to participate this spring.
Yeah, I agree with that. And since you have experience as a coach, let's say you're a coach now during this coronavirus season, what type of pep talk would you give, your athletes on what they should be doing during this time and what they have to look forward to? What would you say to them?
Hey, first of all, I looked at my staff and my roster. I look at my athletes, which I would know because I'm their coach, and I would have them emphasize on their academics. If they want to go on to college, the colleges know how good they are, and they're going to be referred to different schools. The important thing right now is to get their academics so they'll be eligible to go on.
Yeah, that's very true. Focusing on the academic. What about you, Serenity? Do you have a question for Mr. Harris?
Yeah, so I want to know what type of motivation are you giving to your students who are feeling a bit down about not being able to play, especially the seniors or the early grad juniors who are in high school right now?
Well, first, I would let them know, hey, everybody's in the same boat, okay? And we have to go through this together. And the best thing they can do as athletes is to get themselves in the best possible shape that they could get on and work on their skills individually at home.
Okay. And I know, go ahead, Dede.
Yes, Mr. Leroy. So how important is it to stay conditioned and stay active while you're not not active during the season?
Well, basically, as an athlete, you should stay active and then condition. Hey, I'm 73 years old and I still try to stay in shape. That's a part of being in sports, getting your body ready where it's in good shape. So the sports is just getting you ready. It's a training period. Hey, get ready so you can move on to the next step, whatever it is.
So it's more disciplined than actually conditioned. It's more disciplined than I feel like it's a life thing.
Yeah,
just discipline in life.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Right. You got it right.
Yeah, conditioning is very important. I think education as well is very important, because talking to a lot of athletes that I know who are actually on athletic scholarships, but they're actually out of state. And I feel like there's a lot more stress for students who are playing out of state, because they're in this completely new state, and were very excited to play their first season for their college. And now, their scholarship might be in danger because they're not able to showcase their skills. So I think education is another way for them to get a scholarship at their school so they can stay there and hopefully play next year. But even if, with all that being said, with your experience as a coach, how would you say how would you coach your students on getting their education? Because a lot of student athletes don't really, I would say from my experience, they don't really think about their education as much as they think about their athletic abilities. So what resources would you give them to try to get better at things like that, especially because they're at home now? It's not like they're in front of a teacher.
Well, one thing, I think all athletes and young persons need a mentor. Hey, somebody who could guide them, give them some instructions, and kind of motivate them. I was very fortunate in my experience as a freshman. 18 years old in college, away from home. My roommate was 26-year-old Marine veteran, and he was my mentor. And he guided me. He told me about the catalog and everything, and hey, that got me through. So I think a mentor, somebody who has experienced what they're going through, could provide that. And they need to look for a mentor too. Look for somebody who's been through it, who's going to show them the route that they should go through because they've been through it and they know the bumps and the bruises.
Right. And do you think, or do you believe that sports have changed forever because of this new normal? Do you think they're ever going to go back to the same of having like stadiums packed of people and, being able to give your teammate a high five?
I think it's going to happen, but I don't think I'll be around to see it.
Really? You think it's going to take that long?
Yeah, it's not going to be soon. I don't think.
Oh, okay. Serenity, go ahead.
So my question for you is, how do you feel as if it's a bit more important for college athletes to play this season, or do you feel as if it's more important that high school students would get to play? If you had to choose either or, what would you say?
That's a tough question. I mean, so what do you ask me? Who would I rather see die, a college player or a high school player? We're talking about health situations. I wouldn't want to make a choice.
Yeah. I guess we were just saying when it comes to like the risk, the amount of loss, depending on each student, which I guess is at the end of the day, it is pretty much the same because they're all putting in the same stakes. But I know Trey has a question for you.
I was just thinking, like, this isn't the first major disease that's been airborne, because history repeats itself. But this is the first time I've seen like all schools and everything get shut down because of something. But we had like Ebola or whatever mosquitoes was carrying around and infecting people with. There's I don't know what other type of airborne diseases, but have there ever been any other type of things that shut down schools like this before?
Well, the big difference now is the diseases you're talking about previously. Hey, we got control of them. There was a control by the government, by local government, county government, and the federal government. They got control of it where it wasn't spreading like wildfire.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Tongue twister.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I wanted to ask you, what's some of the best advice that you would give to your athletes, or just any quotes or anything that that you, in your 51 years of experience in history, what's some of your best go-to advice that you would give to your young athletes?
The best advice I give to athletes is, first of all, what's really important, which kind of overlooked in today's athletics, your character as a person is so important. I don't care how good you are as an athlete. If you don't have good character, the way things are now, people don't want you in their program. So you're going to eliminate yourself. So the main thing that I really preach and emphasize is your character as a person, and then that'll carry you a lot further than your athletic ability alone.
Yeah. And I would
Yes,
also
sir.
say that this might be a chance, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, Mr. Harris, is that this is a time for athletes to really advocate for themselves, do some self advocating in this, and maybe even reaching out to these schools themselves if they have tapes, or even like having Zoom conversations with them to try to bridge those conversations instead of them just coming to see them play.
Hey, you're exactly right. That's a good concept. Definitely sell yourself. You know, if you have the confidence in your athletic ability and you want to go on, sell yourself.
Yeah. And for athletes who have put their entire life into sports, should they be thinking of doing something else now, or at least really considering a backup plan?
Well, my philosophy is there should be a pathway. First of all, athletics should think about first step is being a high school graduate. Second step is going on to enhance your education. A third step is what kind of career you're going to have if you don't reach that ultimate goal of being a professional athlete. There needs to be something in between being a professional athlete and your education.
Man. And I think that's something that a lot of athletes are missing. Another tongue twister. Brandon, you being a athlete yourself, how would you take that advice that Mr. Harris just said, that you should be a, you know, a graduate before you're an athlete?
I think that's very good advice because a lot of people, you can be in a very troubled situation if you don't chase being a graduate first and you try to become pro and it doesn't work out and you end up being stuck. So you should really make sure that you um, work very hard at academics too, not just athletics, and make sure your character is good as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Mr. Harris, I also wanted to ask you, let's say the season, because they're already pushing athletics already to spring season. Do you think that if the season goes away completely this year, that athletes should still have a chance to make up this season? So maybe having an off season during the summer or something to where they can make up for that lost time. Do you think that's possible?
Are you referring to high school athletes?
High school or college?
Well, we can't say high school because in June they're through with high school. They're
Yeah,
ready.
exactly.
You know, they're not gonna hang around to play sports and they're graduating in June. They want to move on to the next level.
Right.
And the college, in my opinion, they should just get another year. You know, void this year out and have another year. If you're a sophomore in college this year and you can't play, you need to be a sophomore next year.
Right. I
As
agree
far
with
as
that.
far as athletics,
Right. And Trey, did you have something to add? I see you nodding your head.
Yes,
Well,
Mr. Harris, I wanted to add, so if you're a senior coming out of high school and then you're going to college, do you think like they're gonna be missing extra steps that freshmen out of Corona might have had?
freshman in college,
Yes, sir. So I'm saying like if you're a freshman right now, but you weren't able to play your senior season because of the COVID. Do you think another freshman that wasn't during the COVID season is going to be more uh, better than him, basically?
Oh,
no,
so
you know, it all depends on the athlete. You're going to have underclassmen that have a lot more skills, a lot more advanced in what they do than somebody that's a higher level.
me personally, I think everything focuses on individuality. So if
yeah,
you're going to play your sports, you have to be good at it individually. You have to go through your plays and your books and learn everything on your own accord, along with getting yourself physically adept for the sport that you're about to play, even if you're not playing it at the moment. And if you're going to go into the sports having this whole entire COVID thing and it's real, you should already have a backup plan in the first place. And if you don't have a backup plan, you should make two of them.
yeah,
I totally agree. And this COVID thing, it should put you on another track that you probably normally wouldn't have been on. You'd have been so emphasis, you know, focused on playing, trying to be an all-star and not thinking about your academics. Now you can take a back seat, step back and get that now. Get your academics because you're not out there practicing. So what you doing?
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Waste
agree
your
with that.
time.
And Brandon?
Hey, I just had a question. So, how big do you think the impact will have on athletes like not being able to practice? For example, like basketball, every court I see, they take off the rim. So, like for
Oh
long
yeah.
periods of time, like months, how do you think that will impact like players? Or how big do you
Okay, what level you talking about? High school or college?
high school
High school.
and college really?
Okay. Well, they're going to make adjustments to try to get it done, and everything is going to be abbreviated, and they're going to keep it safe. That's going to be a priority. And if it's not going to work out, I think they'll just extinguish it.
And by extinguish it, what do you mean
You mean like
exactly?
cancel sports in general?
Yeah. If you're all of a sudden having kids get sick and it's spreading, you can't keep on going. Evidently, you're doing something that's not working out.
So that means
Yeah.
they should cancel school in general too, then, right? So
We
Yeah.
wish,
the
man.
same concept, it's spreading like a wildfire. So
Hey, you're talking to a coach. You're not talking to a politician, okay?
Hey,
I agree. And I don't know, times are so weird right now. I just hope everything gets, put together because I feel like I said, I think you made a very good point during this interview is that education is something that these athletes do not need to put on the back burner because I do feel like I've come across a lot of athletes, specifically in football. I haven't really had contact with any other sports and wrestlers. I was a wrestling manager, and I know for them it's like real sad because they can't do nothing as wrestlers. But I know a lot of football players who pride themselves in being a football player. Like
Mhm.
they think that is all they are sometimes. And I feel like this might COVID-19 might give them a chance to find other talents that they have other than just their athletic ability.
I totally agree. And it needs to be a refocus, like what you're talking about. These athletes need to be thinking about their character and their education. That needs to be a priority. And then the sports will come. If you got the talent, you're going to be good regardless. But work on the other stuff that matters.
I completely agree. It has been a pleasure having this conversation with you, Mr. Harris. Thank you for joining the Team Talk family. And for those of you who are tuning in, thank you guys for listening to this Team Talk conversation. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Team Talk Vegas 881 and also check us out on teamtalkvegas.com.